Okay, let's talk about AWOL projectors. This company came onto the scene relatively recently and quickly became a favorite option with home theater enthusiasts. And of course, projectors in general are popular with 3D fans as they are the new 3D TVs now that flat panels haven't been made in some years. And the types of projectors they make are ultra short throw laser projectors. Some call these laser TVs. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of owning one and using one. First of all, with an ultra short throw, you don't have to have the projector situated up high, 10 feet or so back to get a big picture. It's right below the screen. Directly below your screen, it projects upward at an angle. So that can be very convenient, space saving if you don't have a lot of room behind you, but still want to get a very large picture. Personally, I have mine set up to project at 80 inches, but you can go up to 150 according to their recommendations. When you're first setting it up, they have the option to have a grid layout, so you can make sure it's exactly straight and not skewed. One thing to watch out for when you're doing this is the eye care setting. If you get close to where the light is coming out of, it'll shut off the projection for the most part, and a warning message will come on a black screen. Obviously, you don't want to be looking into the light, but it can be a little overzealous if you're in the vicinity. So when you're setting it up, at your own risk, of course, you'll be on the other side most likely. I shut off the eye care setting. You can do that in the settings so that it won't keep shutting off the screen when you need to be looking at it to set it up straight. And regarding setting it up straight, ultra short throw projectors can be very finicky. I mean, you move it just a millimeter and the whole thing moves much further than that because it's coming from such a short distance at an angle, and it just moving it a little bit changes the whole thing. So it's not like you're projecting from a distance, and it's very forgiving. So it has wheels on the bottom, so you can slightly raise, slightly lower the height and angle. But once you get a feel for it, I was super frustrated at first, but once you get a feel for it, it's really super easy to adjust. Very easy. You just remember to keep it very minimal. But the one thing you do have to think about is the screen that you're projecting on. Now, you don't need a special screen. They do offer ALR screens, which are light rejecting, and that can boost brightness in rooms with ambient light. Those are pricey though, but you don't need to have one of those. In fact, those ALR screens can even be a little bit darker if you're in a darkened room. So I have a standard good quality white vinyl projection screen. Obviously, you don't want to be using the cheap stuff. You don't want to be using those cheap fabric screens. That's no good at all. So you do want to be using a good standard screen, at least with some gain to it. And AWOL themselves sells standard screens that are wall mountable, come in frames, and that's key because the screen has to be taut. I guess that sounds like take the screen to school, but no, the screen has to be tight and even and stretched in all directions because, again, an ultra short throw projector is much less forgiving of imperfections in the screen. So, for instance, I started out using a pull-up projector screen that you pull it up like a blind and hook it at the top. I had been using that for years with my previous long throw projector from BenQ that eventually broke, and that was forgiving with some slight warping in the screen, but the laser projector, forget about it. It had like you could notice clearly the wavy patterns around certain areas, and like with letterbox movies also just did not look good. And of course that can also mess up the look of 3D movies, especially when you've got inconsistencies uh, wavy patterns on the screen, inconsistencies between eyes. But the good news is you don't have to get AWOL's screen. You just have to get a screen that in which the screen is tightly pulled. And if you want to get one of the pricier wall-mounted ones, if you even have that option in your residence, great. But there are cheaper options, and I went for the kind that has snaps all around. It has a bunch of snaps all around the entire perimeter. You pull it tight, snap it in, it holds tight, and you get a smooth, tight surface that without imperfections. And that's essential, but you can get them for under $100 if you shop around. And the kind I got comes with a stand, so you don't need to have it wall mounted, and it's also can be easily disassembled and very compact and fit in a bag even. It has a nice remote, very easy to use, very responsive. Big improvement on the BenQ projector remote I had been using for my last projector, which was just a pain in the neck, way less responsive. And you'll notice volume. It does have built-in speakers, but anybody who's going to spend money on this, I highly doubt they're going to be using the built-in speakers. If you need to, great, it's a nice option, but of course you'll want to pair this with a sound system for best results. Now, I got the lowest model. That's the 2500. That can be a little confusing with the lumens because it's supposed to be 2000 lumens. So here's the funny thing about that. My last projector from BenQ had more lumens, 3000, but this one appears to be as bright or brighter than that one. And I think the fact that it's an ultra short throw increases the visible light you have when you're throwing from way back there. Sure, it's the same lumens on paper, but you're losing a lot of light in that casting distance. That's just my theory, but it is as brighter than the 1000 higher lumen projector I had before. So if that figure is throwing you off only 2000 and you're worried you might have to be in a dark room only, no, I use this in ambient light. Here's some images you can see both at nighttime with artificial lights on, also in daytime with some daylight coming in. Not a whole lot, but I mean you can still use it with a whole lot, but it won't look as good as it can. But it is forgiving with both types of light, and depending on the direction the light is coming from, you still can get intense, vibrant colors. And as far as HDR, it has HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision support, and it is full 4K, 2160p. There's still some confusion at times about pixel shifting, which of course this uses to achieve full 4K. If you want an actual native 4K projector, that's far less common and more expensive. But the bottom line is that you're achieving a true 4K image with a pixel shifter, and this can be confirmed by test patterns or just by watching a native 4K movie. The confusion might arise from early pixel shifters, which shifted horizontally back and forth to double the resolution. But as you might know, 4K is 4 times the resolution, 1080p, 1080p, and so forth, 4 of them. So modern pixel shifters, they do it 4 times. They shift that same pixel 4 times over the whole screen. So that you're getting 4 unique pixels of information. You're getting the true 2160 by 3840 resolution. And you do have the option from AWOL to upgrade. You can get their models up to the 3500, and these have much higher lumens. So like I said before, if their 2000 lumen model is in practice much brighter than a standard long throw projector, then I can only imagine their premium models must be super bright for an ultra short throw. So if brightness is a important priority, then they do cost significantly more. But if that's important to you, that is an option. But the 2500 model is much bigger savings. The cost to value ratio is much more, I imagine, popular sweet spot, and that'll work for most people. And another thing to note for gamers is that this does have a mode for low input lag. Now for the 3D fans, of course, your 3D content is going to look gorgeous on here, bright and crisp. However, there's one annoying thing. This is very much a first world problem, but anybody who has the AWOL projectors, if they're a 3D fan, they will tell you the one annoying thing about 3D is that it does not autoplay in 3D. Very interestingly, when you put in a Blu-ray 3D disc, which are in frame pack format, it will show up as what looks to be a squished over-under image. Now that's not what a Blu-ray 3D is. It's not squished, but it's just showing the whole thing. But whenever new content comes into an input, there's a pop-up in the corner showing you the specs. And for frame pack 3D 1080p, it'll say 1920 by 2205. Now for full resolution over under 3D, that would be 2160. So this is a little higher than two 1080p stacked on top of each other. It's a little bit more than that. And you'll notice here, like in this disc menu from Toy Story 3D, there's that black line in the middle. So I guess that's where those extra pixels are coming from. I'm not sure why exactly that exists on the discs. I'm assuming that's what it truly is on the disc. But it just must be part of the frame pack 3D spec. I'm not too sure about that. But regardless, whenever you insert the frame pack 3D, you have to activate it manually. You have to click settings, then go to image, and then down to 3D. And then for 3D mode, you have to select that and you'll have the options. You have the options for side by side, over, under. You might be tempted to click over under because that's what it roughly looks like on screen, but that's not what it is, so you don't click that. You click frame packed, and that will show it properly. Side by side and over under are for the half width formats that are often used on streaming, such as YouTube. And here's something very interesting. There's another 3D option in the settings. Right on the other side of top and bottom is frame of continuous. So this sounds like something that got lost in translation, but it's supposed to be frame sequential. And you might know that's an old standard of 3D. Some people have been confused and thought that Blu-ray 3Ds are frame sequential. They aren't. Blu-ray 3Ds are just the left and right images, and then they're adapted to the screen, whether making them flicker back and forth for active displays like this one, or interlacing them for passive flat panels. But anyway, frame of continuous or frame sequential will allow you to watch frame sequential content if you have it. I mean, it's not going to be too common, but you might have some in your collection. I tried a couple that I have, and it didn't work properly. And I'll tell you why. Because I was playing it through my Blu-ray player through HDMI, so that would have processing done to the picture, so that would mess up the interlacing pattern of the standard definition content. So some bits would work here and there, but overall it just messed up the whole pattern. So what you'd want to do is have a proper unaltered input. This does have an analog input in the back. If you have a cord that goes from component outputs to a single 3.5 millimeter input, it has that in the back next to the HDMI. And as for 3D glasses, vast majority of projectors, like virtually all, use DLP glasses. This one is no different. They do make and sell their own. And if you get a deal on them, get them with a projector, great. If not, you can buy any DLP link glasses pretty much, and they will work. I still have my ones from my last projector. They work as well, just fine. That you can recharge. You can recharge them using the mini USB port, and the charges last for quite a while. As most glasses work, the button on the top turns it on, and then you can also press the button repeatedly if you want to swap the left and right views. For instance, if they're in the opposite direction, you'll know right off the bat if in is out and out is in. You just press that to swap it and fix and get it right. And they are comfortable. So if you're a 3D fan, of course, you can get more affordable 1080p projectors. But if you want to have it all in one convenient box and as a TV replacement, with so much 4K content nowadays, I personally don't want to choose one or the other. So this is the clear TV replacement with the extra brightness, with has 107% of the color space, the HDR decoding that it does well, and the laser life, since this isn't a lamp projector, the laser life is rated at 25,000 plus hours. And another benefit of a laser projector is that it's not noisy. You don't have that fan blowing behind your head or above it. No worrying about mounting. But yeah, I find this the ideal device to have, the ideal TV replacement, and a definite step up from a standard projector, both in convenience and image quality. So if you want to check it out, my discount link is in the description below. See you next time.